Mwesige. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the gentlemen and lady that I'll engage for the next about half an hour or so. And hopefully by the end of this session, we shall be able to be clear on what to expect in the course of the week. I would like to ask you, gentlemen and lady, just to, in 30 seconds, each of you take a turn at the mic and introduce yourselves in better detail to the delegates here, your name and what you do, and how long you have served in the authority. And then I will proceed to ask us one or two questions. Thank you. Just press the microphone and speak through it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ian Kanura Mwesige. I work with the Construction Task Force in Tax Investigation Department. The task force focuses on the construction sector. So I'm looking at trying to improve tax compliance in the construction sector. I've worked in tax investigations and URA from 2015, so I made about 7 years. My background is in quantity surveying, and also recently I'm into artificial intelligence and machine learning, because data is important in trying to improve tax compliance. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Semakula. I work with the Tax Investigations Department. I'm a supervisor under the Digital Forensics Unit. My background is IT, security, and digital forensics, but we also do data analytics, and we support the investigations teams to transform, or can I say, translate electronic data into data that is usable for tax revenue purposes. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Agnes Nabwire Asobola. I'm an Assistant Commissioner, Tax Investigation. I've worked in URA for 21 years now. I've worked in customs audit, did a couple of post-clearance audit, worked in enforcement, and now in tax investigation. My background is in accounting. I'm a chartered accountant, but have had a vast experience in the matters of tax administration, in the audit, in the enforcement, basically in compliance. And I'm glad that we are going to have the bit of using science in enhancing compliance in tax administration. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Segemba. I am one of the analysts in the URA Science Laboratory. I've worked with the Science Lab since 2016, and that's an area I have a passion about. My background is in food science and technology, but my experience spreads to all sorts of goods as trade can be. So I look forward to a fruitful training this week. Thank you.
Good morning. Bonjour. My name is Chigundu Stephen, and I am the acting manager of the Science Investigations section. I worked with URA for the last 9 years now, coming to 10. And my background is in biomedical lab research and most recently petroleum and environmental technology or engineering. As I mentioned, I currently head the science investigations section where we do what we call input-output coefficients analysis. We do technical advisory, and we also help to protect the environment and society through guiding disposals, or what we call downgrading. And I am glad to be part of the panel and to see everyone here today.
Excellent. Thank you very much, colleagues. I'll jump straight into the questions. And my first question goes to Agnes. Agnes, this week-long training is going to be about the application of scientific approaches in tax administration. Could you briefly highlight which approaches will be discussed during the next few days? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. And once again, I want to extend our heartfelt appreciation to Ataf and the support you've given in to the delegates to come representing the continent of Africa. We really appreciate you. Now, the gist of our gathering is basically to appreciate how we can adopt different approaches, scientific approaches in the tax administration across the continent. And that's the reason why we are here. Like the theme is clear, application of scientific approaches in tax administration. What are the areas we're going to look at in these 4 or 5 days? The first area is the analytical science. Now, the analytical science is basically looking at ascertaining material composition and identity of items for several reasons, such as assessing tax, guiding tariff classification, or enforcement against prohibited substances. And this plays mostly in customs, where we have different categories of goods coming in from different countries as imports. So science plays a great role in that area. So we are going to be taking you through the details on applying analytical in the process of identifying the material composition of those items. The second area we are going to look at is applied science, specifically in manufacturing. I know across the continent we have manufacturing plants, and we believe that there's been a challenge in appreciating whether the declarations they actually make to their respective revenue administrations are correct and accurate declarations. So the science is going to enable us appreciate how do we conduct the input-output coefficients, input-output ratios, the products that are put into the process, finally what comes out, and the declarations that follow suit by the different manufacturers. Do they speak? Do they speak? When you're looking at their book of accounts, the figures we see on those bank statements, in those balance sheets, do they really reflect to what is actually coming out of the manufacturing plants? So this aspect equally helps in coming up with technical advisory in aspects of tax policy, protection of society, and environment. So the applied science will be able to address those areas. Another area we're going to look at is applied science in construction sector. Like you had Ian clearly explain That's the area where he's focusing on. How do we use science to audit construction projects? We know that every construction project, we have what we call how do they call this? The quantity, huh? The bill of quantities, thank you. The bill of quantities. Does it speak to what ultimately has been injected in those manufacturing, in the construction sectors? And do we see that reflected in the figures that are being declared by the different construction companies? And also the ability to look at the main contractors, the subcontractors, relating it to the actual products that have come into the process. The imports of the materials that are used in the construction, are we seeing this peak? So science will enable us to actually verify and ascertain that what actually was put in is commensurate to what we are being told. So we shall appreciate that as well. And then the fourth area we are going to look at is the digital forensics and the question documentation examination. We all know that data is a key resource now in the revenue administration. If we cannot be able to appreciate the data that we have access to and what